We need to have a conversation.
Look, if you know a good lawyer, you call him.
I need your help.
I made a pretty sizable investment with Cammy.
An investment you'll lose.
If you lose this, the thing you love the most, that's the first thing I'll take.
The tension in Lambman Season 2 has been building steadily, and Episode 10 is shaping up to be the ultimate test of every character's resilience. The last few episodes have shown cracks in the Boris family's foundation, and these cracks are no longer minor. They threaten to collapse the entire structure. Tommy's fall from grace is more than a simple setback. It's a turning point that shifts the balance of power within the family and the business empire they've meticulously built. In Episode 9, we saw him confront Ariana in a moment of intense personal conflict, while Cooper's impulsive actions put him dangerously close to losing control of the oil operations that define their fortune. The atmosphere of the show has shifted. Places that were once bustling with life now feel empty, almost haunted. The silence and stillness in the last trailer speak volumes. Words have lost their weight, and only consequences remain. Every glance, pause, and hesitant action signals that the story is moving into uncharted territory. Victory is no longer guaranteed. Survival is the real prize. As fans digest the fallout of Monty's passing and the unraveling of MTEX, it's clear that the finale will explore the deepest vulnerabilities of these characters. Tommy, stripped of his title and influence, faces a future where every decision could be fatal, and the people he once relied on may no longer be trustworthy. Cooper's choices, especially those involving dangerous oil ventures, will push him to the edge of morality and legality, testing not only his business acumen, but also his personal relationships. Meanwhile, Angela's role remains subtly pivotal. Her humor and timing are designed to offset tension, but even she cannot shield her loved ones from the consequences of their actions. Episode 10 will not deliver easy answers. Instead, it promises a complex web of decisions and repercussions, highlighting the fact that power comes with a price that is rarely predictable. The pace of this final chapter is deliberate, almost oppressive, emphasizing the weight of every moment. Cuts are slower, music fades in and out, and the focus is less on spectacle and more on discomfort, the kind that forces the audience to sit with uncertainty, questioning what each character will do next. This is not just a finale. It is a study in consequence, a meditation on the fragility of power, and a reckoning for everyone who has been involved in the empire that Tommy and his family have built. The hints of solitude, shadows, and hesitation suggest that triumph will be measured not by what characters gain, but by how they navigate loss and betrayal. Even familiar locations now feel like characters in themselves, reflecting the tension and instability that define the current state of the story. Every element of the trailer points to one undeniable truth. Season 2 will not end quietly, and the repercussions of Episode 10 will echo into the next season, reshaping relationships, alliances, and the future of the Boris family forever. Fans are on the edge of their seats, and for a good reason. With only one episode left in Lambman Season 2, everything is teetering on the brink. Tommy's sudden collapse in the previous episode has left viewers questioning the future of the Boris family and the fragile empire they've fought so hard to protect. Betrayals, shocking confrontations, and the looming shadow of irreversible consequences hang over every character. The question on everyone's mind is simple yet terrifying. How will the story resolve when power, loyalty, and family collide in the ultimate finale? Episode 10 promises to push every character to their limits, revealing secrets that will change everything, and setting the stage for a reckoning no one saw coming. The teaser suggests chaos, uncertainty, and a darkness that isn't just external, it's personal, emotional, and unavoidable. What exactly will unfold when the smoke clears? Let's break down what we can expect from the explosive conclusion of Season 2.
Episode 10 of Lambman.
Season 2 promises to be a convergence of all the tensions, betrayals, and unresolved conflicts that have been simmering throughout the season. The title, Family, Power, and Consequences, couldn't be more fitting, as every decision made by Tommy, Cooper, Angela, and the other key players will carry weighty ramifications. Tommy, now removed from his role as MTech's president, faces not just the collapse of his career, but an identity crisis that will push him into his darkest moments yet. The stakes are personal and professional. His influence stripped away, his authority questioned, and his ability to protect those he loves suddenly diminished. Meanwhile, Cooper is juggling multiple crises simultaneously, from controlling a high-risk oil operation to confronting the fallout of his violent defense of Ariana at the club. That moment in episode 9 highlighted a pivotal aspect of Cooper's character, a combination of protective instinct and impulsive aggression that has both saved and endangered those around him. In episode 10, fans can expect these traits to come into sharp conflict, as every choice he makes could either cement his power or accelerate his downfall. The family dynamics are equally tense. Angela, whose presence has always balanced humor and emotional depth, now carries the invisible burden of attempting to keep the family from fracturing entirely. While she may provide guidance or a brief respite from tension, the reality is that each character's decisions will inevitably create new fissures. Aninsley, struggling to become self-sufficient, remains in a precarious position, subtly emphasizing the consequences of the older generation's power struggles on the younger ones. The narrative suggests that familial bonds once thought unshakable are now vulnerable, and loyalty may be tested in ways viewers have not seen before. Episode 10 also appears poised to explore moral ambiguity in a more pronounced way. Cooper's business decisions in oil drilling, Tommy's attempts to regain footing in a business that no longer answers to him, and even Ariana's reactions to personal danger all speak to the blurred lines between right and wrong in a world where survival often demands compromise. The teaser images of empty, almost desolate spaces where characters hesitate and avoid eye contact reinforce the notion that every action has consequences, some of which will be irreversible. There's also a deliberate manipulation of pacing to heighten tension. Slower cuts, fading music, and lingering shots force the audience to dwell on the emotional weight of each scene. Unlike typical finales that rely on high-octane action or dramatic reveals, episode 10 seems intent on making viewers sit with the discomfort of inevitability. There's an underlying message that no matter what choices the characters made at the start of the season, they cannot escape the outcomes now bearing down on them. Victory may not be the focus. Endurance, strategy, and resilience are the true tests. As fans watch Tommy navigate the precarious collapse of MTech's, they will also witness Cooper confront the consequences of protecting Ariana and managing a volatile business. Even peripheral characters gain significance as their actions subtly shift the balance of power and emotional tension within the story. Every confrontation, glance, and hesitation is meaningful, contributing to a rich tapestry of suspense that will define the finale. By the end of this episode, it's clear that the repercussions of power struggles and familial decisions are not just temporary, they will reverberate, shaping the characters' futures and the story's trajectory for Season 3. Episode 10 is not simply about the conclusion of conflicts, it's about illustrating the inevitable consequences of ambition, loyalty, and betrayal, leaving viewers both satisfied and hungry for what comes next. The final episode of Lambman Season 2 is shaping up to be a masterclass in tension, and episode 10 truly feels like a prelude to impact. The title isn't just dramatic, it's an invitation to brace for the consequences that have been building over the season. Every character is on a collision course with fate, and the calm before the storm is charged with a quiet, almost suffocating anticipation. Tommy, once the unshakable force at MTech's, is now a man stripped of authority, navigating a world where every decision carries heavier stakes than ever before. The collapse of his influence isn't just a plot point, it's an emotional earthquake, shaking the foundation of his identity and forcing him to confront failures he may never have anticipated. The teaser has hinted at solitude, hesitation, and shadows, and in episode 10, these are more than metaphors. They manifest in the physical and emotional landscape. Offices feel empty, boardrooms are silent, and the spaces once filled with confident dialogue are now marked by uncertainty, where even familiar allies seem unsure of their next move. Cooper's arc is equally tense, his protective instincts toward Ariana, culminating in his confrontation with a violent aggressor in episode 9, have set off a chain reaction. Every step he takes now carries potential catastrophe, not just for himself, but for everyone tethered to his choices. The precarious balance of power in the oil operations he oversees mirrors the instability in his personal life, and the audience can feel the stakes tightening around him like a vice. There's a deliberate pacing in this episode that sets it apart from typical climaxes. It's slow, methodical, and deeply unsettling. The cuts are drawn out, music fades in and out rather than building steadily, and lingering shots allow tension to fester rather than dissipate. This is a finale that forces viewers to sit with discomfort, to dwell on the emotional gravity of each scene rather than seeking quick resolution. The family dynamic is equally compelling. Angela's attempts to stabilize her loved ones, her humor and timing juxtaposed against growing tension, provide brief reprieves but cannot mask the inevitability of consequences. Aninsley, caught between independence and the weight of her family's decisions, remains vulnerable, highlighting how generational responsibility and unresolved conflicts ripple outward. Every glance, pause, and hesitant word in episode 10 carries weight. Even minor characters are positioned to tip the balance in subtle yet impactful ways, and their presence underscores the idea that no action is without consequence. The episode's atmosphere of inevitability is reinforced visually and narratively. Familiar settings feel colder and more distant, characters hesitate, and the story slows to emphasize the emotional and moral stakes over the physical action. There's an underlying message that resonates throughout this finale. The story is no longer about triumph, it's about survival and reckoning. Every decision made earlier in the season now returns with consequences that cannot be ignored, and the audience is left to witness the unraveling in real time. Episode 10 is not just the end of a season, it's a narrative pivot, setting up Season 3 while delivering the full weight of consequences for Season 2's characters. From Tommy's fall to Cooper's moral dilemmas, from Angela's quiet interventions to the younger generation facing the fallout of family and power struggles, every element is positioned to maximize suspense, emotion, and impact. By the time the credits roll, viewers won't just feel that something has ended. They'll feel that everything has changed, and the reverberations will carry forward in ways that are impossible to ignore. As episode 10 unfolds, Tommy finds himself at the center of a storm that has been brewing since the very first episode of Season 2. No longer the unchallenged president of MTech, he is forced to navigate the aftermath of decisions that have unraveled both his professional and personal life. The finale positions Tommy not only as a leader stripped of authority, but as a man confronting the full consequences of ambition, loyalty, and betrayal. His trial is not just legal or corporate, it is deeply personal. Every confrontation, every choice, and every moment of hesitation weighs heavily on him. Cooper's decisions, particularly his aggressive intervention at the club to protect Ariana, add layers of complexity to Tommy's predicament. The violent encounter in episode 9 foreshadows that consequences are not isolated and actions ripple outward, affecting relationships, power, and even survival. Tommy's struggle in this episode is emblematic of the show's central theme: power is fleeting and the cost of wielding it is never predictable. Fans will witness him grappling with the loss of MTech, a business he invested countless hours in salvaging after Monty's passing. It's a deeply human story of pride, failure, and the painful realization that influence and control can slip away in an instant. Meanwhile, Cooper's arc runs parallel to Tommy's, as his aggressive, often impulsive approach to threats puts him at odds with both the law and the people he loves. His protective instinct toward Ariana, while noble, exposes him to danger and legal complications, creating a ticking time bomb of tension that fans can feel building with every scene. The finale also delves into the emotional cost of these power struggles on the Boris family as a whole. Angela, typically a stabilizing force, is forced to navigate the chaos that Tommy and Cooper's actions have unleashed. Her attempts to mediate, console, and guide are subtle but critical, underscoring how much the family depends on her, even as she operates under her own emotional strain. Aninsley's journey toward independence intersects with Tommy's trial in ways that emphasize generational consequences. The mistakes, conflicts, and betrayals of the older generation now affect the younger, demonstrating that the ramifications of power extend beyond the boardroom and family meetings. They shape lives. Episode 10 also uses atmosphere and pacing to amplify tension. Empty spaces, lingering looks, hesitant movements, and slowed cuts heighten the emotional gravity, forcing viewers to internalize the weight of each character's choices. The music and silence interplay deliberately, creating a sense of unease, making every scene feel like a ticking clock counting down to inevitable reckoning. While action may appear subdued compared to earlier episodes, the psychological and emotional intensity is far greater, highlighting the characters' internal struggles and moral dilemmas. Every decision Tommy makes carries potential catastrophe, and the episode consistently reminds viewers that consequences cannot be avoided. The finale is less about clear-cut victories and more about survival, adaptation, and reckoning with what has been done. Even as fans watch Tommy face legal, professional, and personal trials, they are acutely aware that his journey is far from over. Episode 10 is meticulously structured to create a lingering sense of suspense, ensuring that the fallout from Tommy's trial will resonate well beyond the finale. By its conclusion, it's clear that this is not just the end of Season 2. It's a pivotal moment that reshapes relationships, challenges loyalties, and sets the stage for future conflicts. Every glance, word, and hesitation reinforces the idea that in Lambman, power is temporary, loyalty is tested, and survival comes at a price that no one can fully predict. The finale doesn't just recap Tommy's trial, it forces viewers to feel it, live it, and anticipate the lasting impact on the world of Lambman as it moves towards Season 3. With the finale of Lambman Season 2, Episode 10, the stage is set not just for a conclusion, but for a seismic shift in the world of the Boris family. The events of this episode do more than resolve the immediate crises. They fundamentally alter the balance of power, loyalties, and ambitions that have defined the series from the beginning. Tommy's fall from leadership, Cooper's reckless bravery, and Angela's quiet, stabilizing presence have all intersected in ways that leave the family fractured, vulnerable, and yet intriguingly poised for new dynamics. The consequences of their actions in this episode ripple far beyond personal humiliation or legal entanglements. They threaten the very foundation of the family empire, the delicate alliances within MTEX, and the unspoken hierarchies that have kept them in control for so long. Fans will notice how the finale emphasizes that survival rather than triumph is the ultimate measure of success. Characters who once seemed untouchable are suddenly exposed to uncertainty, fear, and moral dilemmas that challenge their core identities. Every glance, every hesitation, and every unresolved tension is an invitation for speculation about what comes next. The creative choices in Episode 10, slower pacing, strategic silences, lingering shots, and understated but potent emotional beats, serve not only to heighten suspense, but to signal that Season 3 will pivot in unexpected ways. Taylor Sheridan's meticulous approach to storytelling has ensured that even as one chapter closes, multiple new storylines emerge. Will Tommy rebuild his authority, or will his fall from grace be permanent? How will Cooper navigate the precarious balance between personal loyalty and professional responsibility in the oil business? What role will Angela play as the family adapts to instability and loss? And how will the younger generation, including Aninsley, respond to the power vacuum created by the decisions of their elders? The finale teases answers to none of these questions outright, instead allowing the suspense to simmer, creating a tension that lingers long after the credits roll. This episode also reinforces a central theme that has run through the entire season: the inevitability of consequences. Decisions made at the start of the season, seemingly manageable or contained, have now converged in a way that forces reckoning. Each character's trajectory has been altered, and the repercussions of their choices will shape the narrative landscape for the next season. Fans are encouraged to look beyond the immediate drama and consider the subtler narrative cues, the isolation of familiar spaces, the silent exchanges, and the shadows of doubt and fear that now permeate the world of Lambman. These cues hint at deeper, more intricate challenges ahead, promising higher stakes, complex alliances, and intense emotional confrontations.